I happen to think that the Celestial Toymaker is a ton of fun as a serial and one of the more interesting First Doctor outings in general. I know we can, if one doesn't like it because of Michael Gough portraying a terrible Chinese stereotype shtick thing, I mean, that's your prerogative. I can choose to ignore that and just embrace that. It's just a silly, bizarre, anachronistic thing which one would never do today, but it's just. I like the uncanny weird factor of it. Put it like that, as insensitive as it is. It's a strange, unusual, and surreal sitcom within the First Doctor's epoch, and it's magnificent to have him up against a formidable, similar foe. Presumably, the Celestial Toymaker has been retconned as a kind of rogue Time Lord, not unlike the meddling monk, and the Battle of Minds here is also very impressive and makes one of the more memorable of the First Doctor storylines. This is a real shame to be lost, because it features, based upon these photographs from the still reconstructions, some of the more interesting sets and costumes ever featured in the First Doctor. It's such a bizarre, almost magical, fantastical venture to hold within that First Doctor paradigm, although it just makes for such a unique and distinct entry within it, and if it were available, it'd be one of the more fascinating and rewatchable amongst them. Absolutely, I think. Certainly one of my favourites, at least. I like Michael Gough in general, and even though I guess some might consider it a bit of an embarrassing and dated performance now, I think it's very charismatic and memorable and watchable. Definitely. I mean, watchable considering this is a reconstruction of a lost episode, obviously, right? Let's read out aloud some of the production notes for this particular serial. Working titles for this story included The Toymaker and The Trilogic Game. Brian Hayles was unavailable to do necessary rewrites, so then script editor Donald Tosh performed them. As Tosh would no longer be script editor by the time the story was transmitted, he agreed with Hayles to take the writer's credit, with Hayles being credited for the idea. After Tosh finished work on the scripts, his successor, Jerry Davis, was forced to make further rewrites due to a budget shortfall. Tosh was unhappy with the rewrites and refused to be credited, while Davis could not take credit because he was the series script editor. As a result of this, Hayles was the sole credited author on the final serial, despite the fact that he had not worked on it in 3 months and the final scripts bore little to no resemblance to what he wrote. William Hartnell was on holiday during the recordings of episodes 2 and 3, The Hall of Dolls and The Dancing Floor. Pre-recordings of his voice were heard in episode 2, and Albert Ward was a hand double sporting the Doctor's ring for scenes where the mostly invisible Doctor played the Trilogic Game throughout the story. The story was commissioned by producer John Wiles, who left the series before it was recorded after several clashes with William Hartnell. His intention was to replace Hartnell in the role of the Doctor during the story, having the character reappear in a new guise after the invisibility was removed by the Toymaker. The BBC's head of serials, Gerald Savory, vetoed the idea, leading to Wiles quitting in protest. What a circumstance that is, gee. Man. All episodes of this story except episode 4, The Final Test, are missing from the BBC archives. Only audio recordings in production still survive from the first 3 episodes, as no telesnaps were captured. Wiles opted not to use John Cura's services during his tenure, which has led to many visual elements of Wiles' stories to be completely lost. The serial is one of the more well-documented of Season 3's broadcasts without telesnaps. Some more photographs of these elements survive than the preceding stories, including the sets, costumes, and actual colour of everything. This is fascinating, good stuff. Do tune in next time if you'd like to find out more, if you're so inclined, for the Celestial Toymaker on Part 2, here on AOD's Classic Doctor Who Retrospective. Thanks again, my friends. Have the best possible day-night you have ever imagined.